Good evening, everybody. This piece is called A Black Boy Cried That Night. Baseball is my favorite sport. October is one of my favorite months. World Series, a new champion gets crowned, big moments. It's just what excited me about the sport when I grew and fell in love with it when I was 8 years old. But as a lot of people who are playing Little League Baseball, when they first start off, they don't really play night games. Their first season and their early years, they play day games. And so I remember when I was 9 years old, when I was playing my very first night game in Mobile, Alabama. And I was playing in the center field position, which became one of the positions that I've done for a lot of years of my baseball career. There was a long fly ball went straight at me. And I'm usually good defensively. But this time, again, it was my very first night game ever. And I lost the ball in the night sky. I put my glove up because I thought that I at least was able to track it to the target location. And I put my glove up. The next thing you know, everything went black. I opened my eyes and noticed that my coach was carrying me back to the dugouts. I was knocked out, had a concussion. They did concussion protocols to see if I was okay. I was crying, tears flowing down my eyes. My dad came down to the dugout to check in on me. But then he also made sure, and he told the coach to put me back in the game. He demanded it. Then he looked at me and told me, do not cry. Wipe those tears away. Stop crying. Never let them see you hurt. I went back into the game. I hit a double and I scored a run. And I held everything in. But that night, a black boy cried. This is actually my real government name, Cordero Harris. Around that same time when I was 9 years old, I remember having a lot of teachers really having trouble mispronouncing this name. And I remember one time we had a substitute teacher who came in and did the role. And then she said a name that has stuck with me for many years. She said corduroy, and the entire class laughed. From that moment on, a lot of students used that name, corduroy, to try to make me cry. But every single time I tried to hold it in, but every single night, a black boy cried. I remember playing video games, turning it up very loud so I don't hear all the domestic violence abuse that was happening throughout my house. I tried to ignore it, but I know every single time a black boy cried that night. I remember later on, in many years later, I'm still playing baseball and I'm about to play another game. And my dad came to me and told me that my grandmother, his mother, have died. And then I was wondering, wow, I start crying and I'm not gonna play baseball tonight. And he said, you're gonna play. And I played baseball that day. But at night, a black boy cried. All my tears are not all sad. I remember the first time I was playing Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, which was one of my favorite video games as a kid for the Nintendo 64. There was a particular level called the Water Temple that it was one of the most challenging temples in all of the Legend of Zelda game lore and in video game history. And I remember the very first time I finished that after weeks and months of trying, a black boy cried that night. I remember when I was in middle school, that awkward age where all of us are trying to figure out who we are and what we are about in our own identities. And I was a kid who loved Pokemon. I was a kid who loved anime. And I was a kid who wore tight clothes. They called them high waters. And I remember riding on a bus full of other Black students who constantly teased me for all the things that I was enjoying. And every time I tried to hold it in, but at night, a black boy cried. I remember the final bow I took when I did theater. 3 years of theater, multiple plays, multiple competitions. And I remember sitting and standing on that stage, taking that final bow, and honestly seeing my dad, who came to his very first play of my entire career, which was also my last one. I tried to hold it in, but that night, a black boy cried. I remember the night Obama was elected. It was a very amazing moment here at the University of Alabama when I was a student. It was a time where a lot of students like me were happy, and a lot of students who even weren't supportive of Obama still recognized the importance of that moment. But I remember sitting there at the Ferg when they made that announcement, and I just hold all my emotions in. And that night, a Black boy cried. 8 years later, on November 8th, 2016, me, with a lot of other people in this country, we cried that night. I remember when I graduated from University of Alabama. I remember hearing Dolph Proctor mispronounce my name again. But I was happy. Graduating from Alabama was a very tough moment, and it took a lot to get to where I was. You can still see the tears on my graduation photo that are still hanging in my mom's bedroom. But I remember throughout that entire night, no graduation night, a Black boy cried. I remember seeing another Black person getting murdered by police with impunity, and constantly seeing a lot of my people hurting from all over the world, Nigeria. Each and every one of those moments, a Black boy cried. Christmas 2016. It was the first time I went home for Christmas in many years of being away. And I remember seeing him at the table along with my sister and my father. And I stared him right in the face and I asked him, will he ever apologize for what he did? He said no. I grabbed my keys and I got in my car and I drove away. That night, a Black boy cried. Now I'm in Colorado, and I'm sitting in the therapist's office talking about why I am the way I am and wondering what is wrong with me. And the question the therapist asked that was piercing through my very soul, who are you? And I didn't know at that time, but now I do. So who am I? It is not just a song by Jean Valjean from Les Mis. It's a real question that consumes my mind constantly. It's a real question that I wondered for many years as a kid. Who am I? I'm a Black male. I'm a brother. I'm a son. And I'm a friend. Yet the media tells me that my life means less than others. I am a human who was told 1,001 ways to not get killed by the police. Tips like, don't talk back, just comply and obey the officer. Don't have a tail light out. In essence, don't be Black. So who am I? I'm a human who dealt with conflicting identities. I'm a human who was told what I can and cannot like and can and cannot do. Men cannot like show tunes. Black folks don't watch anime. Adults don't play video games. Black folks are just not nerds. Stop acting white. But this is who I am. I am a lover of Broadway musicals, Disney movies, anime, Star Wars, and Harry Potter. I am a Sith Lord, a mutant right activist, a waterbender, a wizard, a level 57 Dark Elf warrior, and a Pokemon League champion. I am cargo shorts and a polo with my cat turned backwards. But that doesn't mean I can't rock a suit when I need to. I am a human who grew up in an abused household. I am someone who did not even realize that until late in my adult life. And I'm 1 in 4 human that suffers from a mental health issue. And I'm here to tell you that is nothing to be ashamed of. I am someone who has suffered from depression and anxiety for ignoring childhood trauma for years. I am someone who have made excuses for my habits. I'm high functioning, so it cannot be a problem, right? I am someone who wore masks, and it's not because I'm from the birthplace of Mardi Gras, but I am done with excuses. I got help, and I'm better. And I'm saying this because there is someone here in this room who is like me and really needs to hear this. You are not alone, and you do not have to do this by yourself. So who am I? I am someone here to serve you. I am someone who could talk about any topic or any situation. I am a brother. I am a son. I am a feminist. I am an ally. I am an advocate. I am a support system. I am your friend. I am your mentor. And I am a survivor. I am Alabama football on Saturdays and Who Dat on Sundays. I am human. I am someone. I am a phoenix and I rise from the ashes of my former self. And now I stand before you, a brand new man, ready to try to find gravity, and no one will ever bring me down. Because I am someone who isn't afraid to cry anymore. So when my other grandmother died, the day after Mother's Day, after spending 5 months in ICU, I cried at work. When I finally hiked up the Manitou Incline, I cried on the mountaintop. When I saw Hogwarts for the first time, I cried at Universal Studios. When Tua threw that championship winning touchdown against Georgia, I cried in a sports bar. When Black Panther walked through that portal in Endgame, I cried at a movie theater. And when I ate the greatest tacos of my life, I cried right there in front of a food truck in Manhattan. And so I'm telling you that I am through accepting limits, and I will no longer will this Black boy cry at night. Thank you. Wakanda forever.